What are some of the unique and or sticky situations that a pre or post-nup can help people avoid?
Um, so prenups, obviously, with spousal support. A lot of times we have people come in who this is their second or maybe third marriage, and they really want to make sure that they're not going to go through that nasty divorce again,
Yeah.
right? So they want to have everything very clean and laid out that this is what's going to happen if things go south, and um, this is the amount of spousal support that someone can receive. I caution people with spousal support agreements, though, because they are reviewed by the court differently than property agreements. Property
Mm,
agreements, the court's going to look at it and say, did you know what you were agreeing to? And you signed off on it. Okay, it is what it is, right? Spousal support is different in that the court's not going to look at it and just say, well, did you know what you were agreeing to? They're going to look at it and say, is this unconscionable, either at the time you signed it
oh,
or now?
how interesting,
Because
really.
Mhm. Because you don't know what's going to happen in life. And especially if people are getting married young, right? They don't have kids yet. They don't know if one of them is going to stay home and watch the kids and give up
Mhm.
their career. And if you've agreed to keep everything separate, one person's giving up a lot
Right.
in order to stay home with the
One
children.
one person doesn't have two nickels to rub together. Right.
Exactly.
Uh,
Um, so the court will look at spousal support agreements a little bit differently. Um,
okay.
in that, I just try and caution people um, to try and make things as fair as possible, um, because otherwise, they run the risk of it getting overturned. And even complete waivers of spousal support really run the risk of getting overturned.
Really?
Mhm.
Interesting. Well, that's fascinating. Okay, good to know. The court has a heart. I didn't know.
Yes, the family court is technically a court of equity.
uh,
Um,
uh, and okay, so conversely, so the sticky situations include you 20 years ago not having made good decisions for you today. So what we've learned is that the court may step in and actually help you out. Do you think there's a downside to prenups? Prenups have a really weird reputation, right? The general consensus is only selfish, stingy people get prenups. What do people say to you about prenups? Or do you even address that with people?
I do, and I get that a lot. Um, and I just don't think that's true.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, I think they're a very good tool to have people open up those lines of communication ahead of the marriage and use that as a roadmap for the marriage and for them to communicate with each other and for them to decide what they think is fair with each other
Hmm.
going into that marriage.
Do you ever get one party really just doesn't want a prenup and the other party does?
Typically, no. Yeah, that's not typically something that I see.
Because they wouldn't show up
Um,
to your office, right?
right, right.
Right.
You're not required to have a prenup.
Right.
So if one person doesn't want to have a prenup, the other option is you just don't get married.